The man on the plane noticed something strange. His fingernails were gradually turning black. Being a doctor, he immediately realized this was a warning sign of severe cardiopulmonary oxygen deprivation. But before he could think of a response, a nearby water bottle suddenly compressed, and the glass on the table began to shake. Flight attendant Lisa immediately detected the crisis, and quickly sat down. She told everyone to return to their seats and fasten their seatbelts. However, it was too late. The plane encountered severe turbulence and began to shake violently. Passengers without seatbelts were thrown to the ceiling. Luggage fell everywhere. The sudden accident plunged everyone into panic. They could only grip their armrests tightly, hoping to make it through safely. Soon the cabin pressure reached a critical point. The pilot quickly put on his oxygen mask. Oxygen masks also dropped in the passenger cabin. Everyone hurriedly put them on for oxygen, but unknown to everyone, there was a passenger in the bathroom. The violent turbulence prevented her from opening the door, but when she finally managed to open it, she became weak from extreme oxygen deprivation. Then she collapsed unconscious. Soon after, the plane gradually stabilized. Everyone felt their breathing become much easier. The captain removed his oxygen mask and immediately reassured passengers over the intercom. It turned out that due to the strong turbulence, a cabin seal had been damaged, which caused the emergency decompression at high altitude. He immediately lowered the plane's altitude, and cabin pressure had returned to normal. Hearing this from the captain, everyone removed their oxygen masks, still shaken. It was then that Lisa discovered the passenger collapsed in the bathroom. She quickly put an oxygen mask on her. Fortunately, the passenger hadn't been oxygen deprived for long, and regained consciousness after receiving oxygen. Just when everyone thought the danger had passed, a man in the cabin began breathing rapidly. Sensing trouble, Lisa quickly came over to check. By now the man was convulsing all over. Lisa hurriedly asked over the intercom if there was a doctor. Then she brought the first aid kit to the man's side. But the situation was far more urgent than imagined. Suddenly the man put his hand to his mouth, and the next second, tomato juice sprayed out. At this point Jack, who was a doctor, stepped forward to help, and Nick, who heard the announcement, also rushed over. However, the man convulsed violently again, impossible to restrain. Soon after, his face turned ashen and he went limp. Everyone could only work together to carry him to the galley area. Nick immediately began emergency procedures, while Jack performed mouth-to-mouth resuscitation. Unfortunately, the man had already stopped breathing completely. Nick and Jack were helpless. With no other options, Lisa had to report the situation to the pilot. After the pilot reported to headquarters, since the cause of death was unknown, to avoid causing panic, the crew had to move second-floor passengers to empty seats on the first floor, and the body was placed on the now empty second floor. At this point, Jack's wife began to worry, and scolded her husband for his rash act of performing mouth-to-mouth. What if the man had an infectious disease? But a woman in a neighboring seat dismissed these concerns. She felt death wasn't a big deal, and even as the body passed by her, she touched the man's skin, and seemed to enjoy the sensation. Meanwhile Mike, sitting in the row ahead, noticed the man's watch, and greedily had thoughts of stealing it. Soon the crew moved the body to the second floor, and secured it to a seat with safety belts. The empty surroundings felt especially eerie. The flight attendants immediately left the second floor. Everyone thought they were safe now, but what happened next was even more strange.